Hello, everyone. Welcome to a Friday edition of the Computer America Show. It's been an interesting week. Of course, this is the second Friday of the month, and that means we're going to have Ralph Bond here with us for both hours. There he is. And if you're watching us in our live video streaming page, which is the only way you can be listening to us, this is like a little pre-show minute. Ralph is here with us for both hours. Of course, we're going to have a show reminder winner of the week. It's going to be a fun show. We've got some great topics for tonight, so sit back, relax, enjoy the show. We'll be starting in about a minute.
One minute until showtime.
Thirty seconds.
Your show will go live in 5 seconds. 4, 3, 2, 1.
Broadcasting live. It's America's longest-running national radio talk show on computers. Computer America. Hosted by national columnist Craig Grossman. Look for Craig's weekly column in your favorite newspaper. This show is being beamed nationwide at ComputerAmerica.com. Keep it here for technology news, computer products, guest interviews, and your phone calls. You're listening to Computer America.
Hello, and welcome into the Computer America Show. It's the nation's longest-running, nationally syndicated radio talk show on computers. Computer America is heard around the world and coast to coast. And I'm your host, Craig Crossman.
And I'm your co-host, Ben.
And it's Friday! Yes, it's Friday. Another week of broadcasting excellence in the can, as they say. And because it is Friday, that means we're going to have a show reminder winner of the week to announce. Someone's going to win a really nice prize, that TouchPad T650 from our good friends over at Logitech. So that's going to be announced tonight. Of course, we'll have two, not one but two, News Tips Bulletin reviews from Marty Winston. It's the last time you'll hear them, and then we'll have a brand new one on Monday. And but it's been interesting with CES and everything. It's been a really interesting week, and of course, we're going to have more follow-up on CES when our correspondents return. Grayson Hamilton is going to have a whole bunch of things to talk about. Sandy Berger is going to be talking about it. We're going to be feeling the impact of CES for some time, even right here on the show. But, you know, let me just get this out of the way so before we get started. If you have a comment or a question or suggestion, give us a call. 347-884-8881. That's 347-884-8881. We'll get you on and get you through. Email is live, L-I-V-E, at computeramerica.com. You can also join us in our live interactive chat room just from our homepage at Computer America. You'll see the button there in the middle. It says chat live video. Just click that. It'll take you to the screen where you just put in a username. That's the name you'll be known by when you go in there. Click the join button, and your browser will move you into the chat room. A lot of people are in there right now. We'd love to see you joining us in the chat room. It's a lot of fun. And also, for those of you who want to watch the show in addition to listen to the show, we now have our live video streaming page, and it shares the same page as the chat room. You don't have to do anything. It just will start up automatically when you go there, and you can actually watch the show. So all different ways that you can communicate with us here on Computer America. So let's get our guest in for tonight. Always a pleasure having him here. And yeah, we know what that theme song means. He's back. Yes, Bond is back, and we've got him. It's all Bond on tonight's show. He's Bond. Ralph Bond. Ralph Bond is a correspondent for the Computer America Show. He's the author of Family Computer Fun, Digital Ideas Using Your Photos, Movies, and Music by Q Publishing. He's also the co-author of the PC Dad's Guide to Becoming a Computer Smart Parent by Dell Publishing. Ralph was Intel's Consumer Education Manager for more than 10 years, and for nearly the past 7 years, he's been part of Autodesk's communications team. Ralph, welcome into Computer America. How the heck are you?
Hey, I'm doing great. It's great to be with you, and we're going to have a wonderful show, lots of great stories. And as I said in the chat room, I order you to go and get the cheat notes.
Yes.
Get them now. There's no excuse. You're going to need them.
Mm-hmm.
I've threatened to give a quiz at the end of the show, but I was just kidding.
Yeah. Well, let me tell you what Ralph is talking about in case you are a first-timer here. If you go to computeramerica.com and go to the right there, you'll see in the interact with the show, you'll see show notes. You click on that, you'll see today's show, January the 9th, 2015. And there's Ralph. We even have his name is clickable to take you to his website. And it talks about what some of the things we're going to be talking about tonight, including hardware that can change how you sleep. I mean, just really neat stuff. But underneath that paragraph, you'll see a little link that says cheat notes. And if you click on that, it'll open up a Google Docs document, and you'll be able to see everything we're talking about tonight. You'll be able to see the different stories, the sources, photographs, pictures of things that we're going to be talking about, and also, most importantly, links to the stories where Ralph discovered these things. That's all on our show notes, and it's a nice way for you to follow along with us here on the show. So you can follow along all the different stories that we're going to be talking about tonight here on the program. That's how you do it. Just go to the cheat sheet, download it. You don't have to download it. It's a Google Docs document. You can just see everything right there. So that's excellent advice. Ralph, as I mentioned, we had our CES show, and it's just so much stuff happening out at CES.
Yeah.
A lot of the things that you found too were kind of tie in. The Consumer Electronics Show is one of the largest shows here in the United States that deals with the technology and consumer electronics. A lot of fun stuff. So what we're going to do is we're going to get started right now, and I guess we'll go to the first story of the evening, and that is the top tech surprises of 2014. Now, this according to whom?
This is according to Geek.com, a story by Lee Matthews, and I gathered a few stories that kind of reflect and look back on the year that we've just concluded in 2014, of course. And I thought this was kind of interesting. And again, if you have the show notes, if you do, you have the links, everything you need to not only see the original story, but to see the images and the short notes that I put together. And I just grabbed a few of the things that are in this very extensive article. And the one that caught my eye right away, because folks, we've talked about this before, guys. One of the last couple of shows, I think it was, we talked about that exoskeleton that was being developed for the Navy.
Yes, I remember.
That workers could put this kind of, I don't know, augmentation, robotic-y kind of like thing on their body, and it would give them the ability to hold heavy parts or to do redundant work. For example, cleaning the side of a hull of a ship and so forth, which is normally something you can only do for 30 seconds at a time, and then you've got to stop and rest. And with these exoskeletons, you're able to do more work. Well, I saw another story. It's part of this Tech Surprises of 2014, and it's a good old exoskeleton revolution has begun is the subhead here. And here's the story. It says, some of Daewoo's staff got fancy new power suits this summer, but they weren't tailored for boardroom use. Their exoskeleton let workers feel like they were lifting just 15 pounds when in fact they were carrying a 75-pound load, greatly reducing the risk of certain on-the-job injuries. Now, time out. I'm 62 years old. I need one of these exoskeletons just to do chores on the weekend, right? Wouldn't it be great to put one of these things on and suddenly be, a 21-year-old super fit guy? I love it. I think the problem that my wife might not want me to take it off at all. That could get weird. But anyway.
Yeah,
but I think the important part here, as the author is stressing, this exoskeleton revolution is really gathering momentum, and 2014 was an important transitional year, and I think we're going to go in to see this just gather more and more steam. It goes on in the story, says Noonee, the CEO, or the company's called Noonee, N-O-N-E-E, CEO Keith Gunura tackled another workplace problem with his exoskeleton. Dubbed the chairless chair, it's designed to let you park yourself in a seated position near whatever you're working on. Now, I didn't have an image of that. There's a link there. You can go and take a look at that. That's kind of interesting. And then another one is Argo, A-R-G-O, Medical Technologies. Exoskeleton work focuses on less able-bodied wearers. This summer, their ReWalk, that's R-E-W-A-L-K, get this, their ReWalk unit, created to allow people with spinal cord injuries to walk again. That was approved for home use. Now, that's really something. It's one thing to give workers in a shipyard or in a loading dock or on a construction site abilities to deal with heavier weights and less fatigue and less injury. That's wonderful. But the implications for the disabled are fantastic also in this area. So I love that part of the story. And then it culminates with a reminder, let's not forget about the 2014 World Cup, the Soccer World Cup. It all started with a humble kick from a soccer fan who controlled an exoskeleton's movements with his mind. Remember that story? That was quite something. So again, the premise of, or the position this author is giving us is watch for exoskeletons. They were a big thing in 2014. They're going to gather more steam in 2015 as we go on.
You know, I'm at the ReWalk website, which is rewalk.com. And it's just amazing what they're showing here, how people can actually get up, stand, who are basically wheelchair bound, they're paraplegics, and they're standing and walking. You know.
I know, it's wonderful. I mean, this is where technology is so transformative. In fact, the last several months I've been on the show, I've looked for health technology symbiotic stories where technology is coming in and helping. We talk about things where you could use different devices to help blind people see through sound and so forth, and all these kinds of things. And I absolutely love what I see in that ReWalk thing. It's wonderful. There's a photograph there of President Obama embracing a disabled person using one of these exoskeletons to help sit up and move. Why not?
Sure.
How wonderful. I mean, it's just someday having an injury or being born with a birth defect of some kind will not be a limiter. And this is where technology just excites the heck out of me, I'm telling you.
It does. Yeah, it is amazing. And this is and it's available evidently now. Yeah, I mean, so
coming for it was the ReWalk product you mentioned. Again, folks, if you haven't gone out to rewalk.com, it's fantastic. The next technology that was cited in this article is a real hoverboard. Right? Yeah. Remember good old Back to the Future? Well, he says it costs $10,000, and even Tony Hawk has trouble looking cool while riding it. That is this first one, right? But that doesn't make the Hendo, that's H-E-N-D-O hoverboard, any less awesome. The fact that you can only ride one at Hendo headquarters on their tiny half pipe and not all over the hill valley, well, that's a bit of a downer. The article is, or the author's being a little tongue-in-cheek here. But they've taken an important first step, maybe in a decade. We'll all have access to dedicated hoverboard parks downtown. A geek dream, right? And you need to go and use the links in the cheat notes so you can learn more about this too. It's quite something to look at. It's a very, very interesting technology development. If it's possibly just a toy, but maybe it might have some real commercial application too.
Well, yeah, I mean, because the first thing that they've overcome is that it can support the weight of an adult human.
Right.
That's the big thing. Now, obviously, there are all kinds of limitations, but basically, they've got that licked, and now the next thing is they're going to have it so you don't have to be over a special surface. In other words, you know, hey, one step at a time. And
exactly. And no pun intended relative to the thing we were just talking about in terms of disabled people being able to walk and so forth, one step at a time, and it's so exciting. So another technology breakthrough or important technology movement that's cited in this article is an electric car. Get ready, an electric car that broke the 200-mile-per-hour speed barrier. How about that? In the cheat notes, there's a picture of this thing on the salt flats here. It says the caption.
It looks like a rocket on its
Oh
side.
yeah. Oh well, yeah. Well, and it's not unlike the gasoline or other jet fuel powered
Yeah,
speed cars in the past. They've always had those bodies that look like a jet airplane without its wings, right? And
right.
the caption to the story says, with a top speed of nearly 205 miles per hour, the car is called Electric Blue. Proved that electric vehicles can really light it up, is the caption for the photograph. And again, go see that photo. It's really illuminating. And here's the story. Talks about few people think that electric cars are all city-friendly subcompacts like the Nissan Leaf. Well, I kind of differ with that statement. I think most people do think that's when you say an electric car, probably most people, if they think about it at all, will say, oh, yeah, it's like a Nissan Leaf. Now, maybe they'd bring up a Tesla and that sort of thing, but, the usual thought is it's a putt-putt car for around town.
Yeah.
But what they're talking about is, and it makes a reference to the work of Elon Musk and Tesla Motors, as I just mentioned, too, but get this. But over at Brigham Young University, students and staff were also busy smashing electric car stereotypes in 2014, in September of 2014, just a few months ago, right? Electric Blue, that's the name of their car, posted an average speed of 204.9 miles per hour over 2 runs at the Bonneville Salt Flats, crushing the previous record, also held by the Electric Blue car they were developing, by more than 50 miles per hour. Holy smokes. The result even surprised the Brigham Young University team. They knew that 200 miles per hour was possible on paper, but watching it happen on the Salt Flats was, quote, like 7 Christmas mornings, according to former team member Jeff Baxter. So there's another kind of interesting technology breakthrough. So electric cars, batteries for them getting better, all that technology becoming more and more practical, more car companies coming out. Mercedes has an electric car, right? I think they introduced it last year, right, guys?
That's right.
That's pretty interesting. So just watch this technology blossom.
Okay, yeah, exactly. So that's a kind of these were like the top tech surprises of 2014.
And there's more articles, or there are more surprises in the article, right?
Sure, absolutely. So since we're kind of this now, this next story is 10 of the best startups that made impact in 2014.
Yeah, this comes from the Next Web, and you can check this out. I've got the link in the story there for you. A story by a fellow named Mick Wright, and I thought this was kind of fun. And he says, our picks for best startups that made an impact in 2014. He says, our picks range from hardware, bringing internet connectivity to anywhere, and changing the way we charge our devices, to the sites that itself revealed some of the most interesting startup stories of the year, and the one messaging app that could rule them all. Now, the startup that surfaces brilliant startups, and that's this outlet called Product Hunt. And he says it's become such a go-to source for finding the best new apps, hardware, and websites that it hardly seems believable that Product Hunt only launched in late 2013 and hit its stride earlier this year. Now, this article was published just before the end of last calendar year, so he means in 2014. With its iOS app, podcast, and $6.1 million in Series A funding, led by Andreessen Horowitz, it's already an institution. Who knows how powerful it will become in 2015. Now, I've got a link in here where you can read more about it and learn more about Product Hunt and so forth. Very, very interesting app. I recommend you check it out.
All right. Okay, good. And again, you can see all that. We have the links and everything. You can check it out for yourself.
Yeah.
Okay. So this is just a couple of the 10 best startups made an impact in 2014.
Right. And the next one, and I need to remind myself now to turn off the sound on my phone, because somebody just tried to text me and it dingled here, and it would have interrupted our brilliant conversation here. Anyway, the next one, guys, is called Hello, and you can see the picture here. It's a 2-part product. It's this kind of orb and this sort of little pill or button-like device.
Well,
this is the next.
This is going to be the hardware that could change the way you sleep.
That's right. The hardware that could change the way you sleep. Hello is the product name, and it says developed by Thiel Fellow James Prude. Hello Inc.'s sleep tracking system combines Sense, S-E-N-S-E, a globe that sits beside your bed, and a sleep pill At first I went, sleep pill? You mean something like I take in my mouth? No, no, no. They mean a little device that clips onto your pillow. Now, the pill tracks your movement and sends data to the Sense Globe, which monitors temperature, light, sound, and particles in the air. You know, if you're a data nut, this is great. If you're an obsessive person who wants all kinds of data, real time, all the time, this sounds great, right?
So much data that it interferes with your sleeping.
Well, you might lose sleep.
Yeah, exactly.
Particles in the air.
Isn't that funny, Ben?
Okay.
Particles in the air. Well, what does that mean? Is it going to warn me if there's too much pollen in the air? I don't know. But it's an interesting idea.
Now they're just being particular.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it says the system's analysis of your sleep is then relayed to the iOS or Android app with a smart alarm that wakes you up at the right point in your sleep cycle. Well, now, what does that mean? If I'm sleeping really well, I don't want to be awakened. Or is it just an alarm?
That's
you know what they're referring to, guys?
You mean circadian rhythm?
Yeah.
Oh, maybe. Yeah. I don't know. It's. I like the look of the product, though. I think it's kind of cool looking. Anyway, it says Hello raised $2 million on Kickstarter to produce Sense, the Globe, after initially going for a goal of $100,000. Now, what makes it different to all other wearables that claim to monitor your sleep, he says, what is it that makes it different? Our write-up earlier this year summed it up in a line. With Sense, Hello wants you to look beyond how you're sleeping to why you're sleeping. Now, that's an intriguing line there, and there's a link in here for you to go and learn more about this product and what they're up to and so forth. Pretty interesting stuff.
Cool. All right. Again, it's called Hello. And there's a link to the website if you want to check up on this. If you're having problems sleeping, this might be something that sleep is so important. I mean,
oh yeah.
You can go if doctors will prescribe a sleep study for you if you're to see if you have sleep apnea. I mean, if you can sleep properly. I mean, it can be dangerous. You need to, you need to.
That and quality of sleep really does affect,
Yes.
the wrong side of your bed, and your whole day is ruined. So getting that under control can help you.
You're absolutely right. And guys, for folks that are getting older, senior citizens and so forth, sleep is one of the most prized things because as the older you get, a lot of us tend to have disrupted sleep, sleep for an hour and a half, wake up for 30, 40 minutes, go back to sleep, and they're very, very not great. So if there's any technology that somehow could help with that, or at least monitor it or help your physician understand your sleep patterns better, hey, it could be a beneficial thing. Now the next start.
No, Jonathan in the chat room doesn't want to know why he's sleeping. He wants to know why he's awake. Okay.
That's a great. I think that's it. I know why I'm sleeping because thank God I finally went to sleep. Now why did I wake up? Excellent point. I agree. The next startup that was cited in this article is a company called Kwik, Kwik Desk, Kwik Desk, and they have an app called 11, and I'll explain what this is all about. It's a startup making sure your secret chats, your text chats, stay secret. Kind of interesting. It says here, when Kwik Desk launched in November of 2013, we described it as Twitter meets Snapchat, but the company created by photographer and entrepreneur Kevin Abosh went even further in 2014. Its second product, 11, so the word one, O-N-E, repeated and put together, is an Android and iOS app that offers private and untraceable text messaging. Interesting.
Why didn't they just call it 11?
I don't know. That would have been easier.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
Kwik Desk takes its goal of creating truly untraceable communication very seriously. 11 encrypts and decrypts directly on your device using secret keys that are never sent anywhere else.
I was gonna say, there's your answer to why not 11, why 11. It's a secure one-on-one text messaging service.
Excellent. See. You see,
there you go. There's a reason. These people are smart.
Yeah, Ben found
well, they're smarter than me because I was going, I don't know. I have nothing I say in my text messages that I'm worried about anyone tracing or hearing or seeing anyway. But I mean, at my age, I'm not doing some of the texting with pictures that some of our young folks are doing. I don't,
I
not
don't know.
me. Anyway, it says there are no user accounts, and the company says it doesn't send, capture, or store any identifiable device information. Interesting. Each channel on the app only allows 2 users to chat and generates its own public and private keys. Isn't that interesting? And it kind of concludes with this comment. In a post-Snowden world, Bosch's concept of the privacy-first product is definitely an appealing one, as this author concludes. And again, there's a link there. You can go and read more about it and learn more about that app. But I thought those were pretty cool.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm sure I mean, if you're texting or doing things that might be as you say, it might be you don't want anybody else to see. This is
So for business reasons, maybe it's not necessarily inappropriate stuff. It could be business things or whatever. Yeah.
You want to keep whatever you're saying private. This is an interesting way to do it.
Yeah.
Okay.
If they said it nicely, in the post-Snowden world, it's that whole, even though you may not be doing anything wrong, it's just you don't want everything you say or do online, collected and categorized.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah, exactly. Another one. Going back to that sleep monitoring device.
Right.
Jack in the chat room, he used a CPAP machine. I hate those things.
Oh boy, brother, I'm right there with you, pal. I call it my Darth Vader.
How do you sleep? Thank goodness I didn't have to use it, but I can't imagine.
Is that the one that shoots air down your throat?
Oh, it's bizarre. It is bizarre. Let's commiserate. Who was it in the chat room that has a
Jack?
Okay, buddy, you and I are pals now because we're in the Brotherhood of the Darth Vader. All right, I call my unit the Darth Vader. I have to wear this strap-like thing. I don't know how to describe it. Now, most people use a plastic kind of triangular cone-like thing that they put over there, sort of like you're a scuba diver or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
That didn't, it was terribly uncomfortable for me. To your point, Ben, it was miserable trying to sleep with that thing.
Mm-hmm.
Fortunately, they make something called, it's so ridiculous, the nose pillow. The nose pillow is this very flexible little thing that has, I should go and get mine and show it to you, and it's held in this strap-like thing, but it goes up into your nostrils. It's very, very soft.
Mm-hmm.
But to your point, Ben, you're right. If you ever have somebody that uses a CPAP machine, say, hey, you turn it on for me. Let me feel the velocity of air. I don't know how the human body deals with it. I don't get it. You put this thing on, and it's not bad. Once you get it comfortable and adjusted, it's okay. And the whole point of it is to keep you
breathing,
oxygenated and breathing, because what was happening to me, and it explains a lot of my mental problems and a lot of my forgetfulness and everything. I finally got a great medical excuse for all the things that drive my wife crazy. You don't listen to me. You don't remember anything.
Oh.
Well, my doctor said, good Lord, Ralph, when we put you in a sleep test, we found out you were stopping breathing for, multiple minutes at a time, depriving your brain of oxygen. And, this has got to stop right now to stop any further brain damage.
Yeah, well,
further brain damage, right? So I've got an excuse now.
You can die from sleep apnea. It's actually a serious topic, so you have to be careful. If you have that, you should, fortunately for me, I just had to elevate. It's rather flat, and I just had to elevate my head some, and that seemed to.
Yeah, it depends on the level of your severity. For me, and maybe Jack was in this camp, I don't know, but I had these things where I would violently jerk up in bed doing, I can only describe a kind of snort, like a big kind of thing, and it was my body finally kicking in and saying, oh my Lord, alert, 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 wake this guy up now, because it was shutting down.
Yeah.
So,
very dangerous. It is very dangerous.
So any technology, and hopefully someday they're going to figure out a better kind of CPAP machine, because that's a nasty deal, folks. God willing, you won't have to have that.
So, all right. So the next story we're going to get into. We're just going to kind of start it because we're at the bottom of the hour break here.
Yeah.
We're going to be talking about some of the coolest 3D printing stories.
Yeah.
2014. I mean, and you've got some really interesting ones here, and we can start it off. this first one is that this fellow printed, it looks like a castle.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. This is great. This is a story from, now, folks, you really want to get to know this website. It's a lot of fun. 3dprint.com. Check it out. Story here by Brian Krasenstein, and he kind of gathered together 14 of the coolest, in his opinion, 3D printing stories from last year. And one of them, I'll scroll down and we'll talk about this. Where's that guy who did the... Here we go. A Minnesota man 3D prints a life-size castle. Well, that's relatively speaking. Yes, an adult can walk into it. It's not as big as a castle in Europe, but a life-size castle in his backyard. Gotta love this. Would love to meet his wife who allowed this to happen. Whether you are one of those people who believe 3D printing will eventually take over all forms of production, even home building, or not, the 3D printed castle in Minnesota certainly has to pique your interest, and I did mine. We were the first to break this story back in July of last year. Audrey Rendenko began constructing the home from a 3D concrete printer he created himself. Listen to that again. 3D concrete printer he created himself. There is a huge 3D construction revolution going on right now. The Chinese are really on top of this, and they are using large-scale 3D concrete printers, by the way. The castle was eventually completed in August of last year, and since then, Rendenko has made the actual 3D model available for download, so you too can print a 3D castle of your own, even if it's a tiny one, although the castle...
Right.
Yeah, go ahead, Greg.
Obviously, you won't have a concrete printer like this fellow has, but this is really amazing. And
fun, huh?
And we're just kind of scratching the surface. There's so many more that we're going to be talking about in this story. In the meantime, you listen to the Computer America Show on the Blog Talk Radio Network, on the Boost Radio Network, on the IRN Radio Network. Ralph Bond is our guest for both hours. Right now we're talking about 3D printing. We'll be right back with him. Stay with us.
Hey everyone, have you heard about the No Hair Removal device that's sweeping the globe? If you want to go weeks without shaving and get smooth, professional quality results, here's our favorite host, Cheryl, for No Hair Removal.
Thanks. Hey gals, I love talking about my No. It's this cute little hair removal system that you can take with you and use almost anywhere at home or on the road. No more expensive in-office treatments, painful waxing, and no more wasting your valuable time. Got unwanted facial hair? No has patented thermocon technology that works on all hair and skin colors, so it's perfect for using on all body parts. And now you can take advantage of this incredible risk-free trial. Get the No, the facial kit, a travel case, and a $100 discount shopping card, and you don't risk a penny to try it. Try the incredible No hair completely risk-free. Call 1-800-953-5415. That's 800-953-5415. 800-953-5415.
Hi, this is Craig Crossman, host of the Computer America Show. You have important meetings to schedule. Your company's getting ready for its IPO, and you're in charge of the PTA fundraiser this month. So how do you coordinate everyone to be available at the same time? Are you still using emails, phone calls, even text messages to schedule meetings with a group of people? How's that working out for you? Not so great, huh? It's a fact that every day, millions of people suffer from scheduling headaches. Well, with Doodle, scheduling meetings with a group of people is quick and easy. With Doodle, you can easily propose available times to each member. Each one checks off the times that they're available, and then you simply pick the time that works best for the group, all in an easy-to-read display that integrates with your existing calendar. Nothing could be more simple. Give Doodle a try for free, and like millions of Doodle users, you'll truly see how easy it is to find the perfect date and time for all your meetings. That's www.doodle.com.
What do you know? You made it. This is Marty Winston with a news tips bulletin review for Computer America. This time, the iCoffee Opus Brewer. Remington Designs sent their iCoffee Opus single-serve brewer, and we're impressed. Its water reservoir holds 75 ounces, so we get more cups per fill, except that we can fill cups more with 17 choices in half-ounce increments from 4 to 12 ounces. Our current brewer only offers 5 size choices. Its drip tray is held by a magnet, and when you slide it out, you can fill a tall travel tumbler. The coffee chamber can hold any K-Cup, including the new interactive ones, and it comes with an adapter for making non-K-Cup brews. The coolest tech in this is that steam and hot water feed into the K-Cup chamber through a spinning needle injector, so every part of the content of the K-Cup contributes. A 12-ounce cup of our favorite dark coffee didn't exhibit a whisper of being watered down. Heating becomes a standby function after 2 hours or on demand, saving energy. Bottom line, the iCoffee Opus single-serving brewer from Remington Designs gives us more choices, more convenience, and in many cases, a better cup of coffee. This is Marty Winston with a News Tips Bulletin Review for Computer America.
Yeah.
Yeah, what he said. Welcome back to the Computer America Show. It's 33 minutes past the hour, and we have Ralph Bond here. We're doing all these great stories that he's found for us, and we were just getting into this one about a gentleman who actually has a 3D concrete printer. One that actually uses concrete instead of your typical plastics and whatnot. And apparently he's building his own castle because why not have a castle? And the you can definitely tell it's it's made differently because it has all those lines. If you're looking at the cheat notes, there's a picture Ralph included with the story, and it has all the horizontal lines like you'd think kind of like a printer page, like a piece of printed paper. But I mean, I actually found it interesting that you said that the Chinese were already doing this on a mass scale. Like apparently 3D printing a building is easier than cinder blocks and drywall.
Well, yeah, Ben, it's a really, really interesting thing. Friends, if you'll just take your search engine, Google or what have you, and maybe try typing in China, 3D, printed buildings, some simple Google search like that, and you'll invariably turn up some of these stories. And if I have it right, I think they've even done multi-story structures, something like, gosh, I don't know, I could be wrong, but for some reason I think I remember hearing about and maybe many months ago, last year, we reported this, and when I was on the show about, I don't know, a 20 or 25-story building they created using this approach. And it's fascinating to me. I'm not quite sure how it really works in a way because you would have to have forms for the concrete, whether it's extruded out under computer control. This I understand, just like a 3D printer extruding or dealing with plastic materials or what have you. So that part I don't quite follow. Looking at the castle from our story here, not quite sure how do you just layer concrete without it just sort of blopping over the side? And if you have to build molds, it sort of seems counterproductive. It's like, well, just build the molds and pour the concrete any way you want to in one shot. So I don't fully understand it, but I do know in the building industry there's a lot of real interest in this idea of printing buildings or printing building components anyway.
Well, maybe it's one of those quick drying concretes. They have these quickcrete things that dry.
Well, yeah,
they
maybe
they might have it where just it dries. Now the story goes on to say here that he's going to be doing it again, but actually his next challenge is to build an even bigger castle, but all in one piece. That's again, I don't profess to understand it fully, but when you think of 3D printing, folks, I think the message here, as we look at the future, now and going into the future, is don't think of it just as those small kind of boxy-like things. We're going to be seeing other applications. And when it comes to 3D printing a building, I wish I had some images to share with you, but I've seen these drawings because I work for the architectural engineering and construction side of Autodesk, okay? So I get to see these presentations and hear these things. And there's a professor at USC, University of Southern California, in, of course, Southern California, who's a real expert in this area, and they show these images of these giant kind of scaffolding-like things and tubular deals that will carry the depositor of the concrete or whatever over a pattern that's all computer guided and so on, so that you could bring out the extruder or the printer, if you want to call it, to a job site and start just laying down a building. I mean, it's the craziest thing. Yeah. Well, when they perfect it, housing of the future. Can you imagine? You order the home that you want to. They bring out the big 3D printer. You have your lot, everything, and they just extrude out your home, and it's all set.
Oh yeah, yeah. And what I understand for things like the electrical lines and the plumbing lines, the printing device does its thing, and then at a certain point it stops, and then on-site workers will go and lay in the piping and the other things like this, and then continue the process, right? So it's all a kind of a choreographed sort of thing.
Right, and obviously and it's completed in a fraction of the time of
Right.
normal construction. Yeah.
Right. It's interesting. Oh, I just, God, we're so lucky to be dealing with technology because it's just a never-ending treasure chest of joyful surprises. And I tell you, 3D printing is, yeah, baby.
So that's one of 3 examples that we're looking at.
Yeah.
Why don't you continue on?
Well, yeah, let's go to the next one. Kind of, we do them a little bit in reverse order here, but I love this one, guys. Now, maybe you've already heard about this. Strati, S-T-R-A-I-T-I, first ever 3D printed car fabricated and assembled in just 44 hours. And there's a great picture, right? It kind of looks like a neat dune buggy, sort of futuristic looking dune buggy kind of open convertible car, not very big, but still the implications are profound. So the story says, the author says, this was my favorite story of the 3D printing breakthroughs for 2014, as the team at Local Motors, that's the name of the company, set out to 3D print a car live at the International Manufacturing Technology Show in Chicago in September of last year. Now, the vehicle was printed and assembled in front of showgoers live and took a total of just 44 hours to complete. Since September, Local Motors has increased their printing and assembly time significantly, and we had an opportunity to speak to Jay Rogers, the company's CEO. He told us that they have plans on rolling out dozens of micro factories over the coming years, allowing people like you and me to walk in and order a 3D printed car and have it printed and delivered shortly thereafter. Now, I got to stop, and I want to play on that word. I love this. Micro factories. Okay, guys, time for our minds to just melt on possibilities. Okay, so you have 3D printing of buildings. You have 3D printing of large-scale things such as a car. And then you have the idea of no longer do you have to have a Detroit. You can have micro factories in locations all over, democratizing this all over. Nothing against Detroit and nothing against the auto workers union, and God, I don't want to take jobs away, but I mean the idea that you could have all over the world, especially say in struggling areas like parts of Africa or third world nations, that you could put micro factories in it and improve people's lives and so forth. That just, I love it. Anyway, the article goes on to say the company is also considering 3D printing other vehicles such as boats and planes, and just last month they announced that they would be giving away 12 3D printed cars to designers who would like to hack the vehicle. That's the other thing I love about this culture of 3D printing, sharing designs, encouraging collaboration. Wow, it's just, I love it.
Very, very cool. Just...
I wonder if these microfactories, like, you're going to find them in, like, storefronts that, you always see the storefronts that are open for rent or whatnot. They could rent one of those and just run it out of the back, and, you walk in, pick a design, and walk out the front door.
Oh, yeah. I mean, gosh, Ben, anything, that's what I meant. That's why I got so flamed up and excited about microfactories. Just that concept has so many implications. Furniture, appliances, all kinds of things. I mean, my gosh, guys, wow. It's just, and then if you combine that as the Chinese are doing with those buildings I was telling you about, they're using a lot of recycled material to their credit. Over there in China, blending concrete, making concrete composites that involve recycled tires and recycled demolished previous concrete structures, pardon me, that are ground up, and so on and so forth, and mixing them with other materials to create wall materials. So you combine recyclability with microfactories, with 3D printing concepts, computer aided in design. Oh, we're on a beginning of a great adventure as far as all this technology goes, I think.
Right. It is amazing.
I mean, there was that period of excess when factories came around, and before factories, everything had to be handmade, and you had to do all. But now this is taking the factory and turning it into thousands of locations and making it all automated. So it's just like a new resurgence of.
Oh, brilliant, Ben. I love that. So microfactories are like the cottage, what we used to call the cottage industry, pre-industrial revolution, right? So the woman and the man or whatever, they'd spin their yarn or do whatever they do, weaving and everything, just in the old farmhouse. Those are the cottage industries. and then the Industrial Revolution, you centralize that in large-scale factories, which by default required urban situations and a large population, blah, 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 blah. Now you're going back to cottage industry, but high tech with the internet that ties it all together for sharing, and my mind is blown. It just blows my mind.
Well, speaking of the internet and everything, NASA also was in this 3D printing.
Right.
The first 3D print off-world.
Yeah, that happened last year, Craig, and very significant. Again, just to remind the listeners here, we're talking about a story that appeared in 3dprint.com called 14 Coolest 3D Printing Stories of 2014. So we're only sharing with you, 3 of them, right? So you want to go and see this article and check out the other stuff. But what Craig's talking about is the first 3D print off-world, made in space, and NASA 3D print first ever object off planet Earth. That's kind of cool. And the story was, it's been a long time coming, and all throughout the year, meaning 2014, we followed California base Made in Space as they worked closely with NASA on a 3D printer capable of working in outer space, right? The printer was launched to the International Space Station in September, and by the end of November, the very first 3D printed object had been fabricated in space. Ironically, the first functioning 3D print from the International Space Station was a part for the 3D printer itself, a faceplate for its print head. Since November, numerous other parts have been fabricated in space, and plans are in place to send a second, more sophisticated machine up sometime next year.
Can you imagine because obviously something breaks in space and you don't have the part, then they have to send a ship up to replace it.
Yes.
Can you imagine now if they can just print what they needed? They just have the materials and print what they needed rather than having the expense of having to launch it up and get it up to the space station. That's going to be an enormous cost savings, I would think.
Well, yeah, and you could carry it further. Imagine a space station with a large bay or area where you have these micro factories that Ben, all of us were just talking about, and you can actually build components for the space station to expand it without having to keep shuttling stuff. I mean, shuttle up the raw materials, but I mean, you could fabricate up there. I don't know. I mean, there's all kinds of cool possibilities.
Exactly. It really just kind of boggles the mind. It's just the space station making its own parts and keep expanding in space without having to send stuff up. Just the printing material.
Yeah.
All right, exactly. So that's story 3, and again, you can read more about it. We have links again if you're following the show notes at computeramerica.com. Just we have the link that says cheat notes, so you can see everything that we're talking about tonight. So let's move on to the next story, which is entitled "Smart Cities and the Urban Digital Revolution."
Oh yeah, guys. I tell you, I can't stress enough, as Andy Grove would say, we are at the strategic inflection point of history, and we are. When you look at all the stories we've done so far tonight, right? They're all look in the crystal ball. It's clear, not cloudy. There are some things that are really going to transform the world, and we're lucky enough to be alive to see all this stuff. And this story comes from an outfit called Recode, a story by Sean Dubravak, who's the chief economist for the Consumer Electronics Association. Really interesting source for this story. The title of the story is "Smart Cities and the Urban Digital Revolution." And I'll read the story to you here so you can get the gist of what's going on. It says, "Welcome to the era of smart cities." That's what I'm talking about, like Andy says, strategic inflection point. "Advances in wireless sensor systems, information and communication technology, and infrastructure allow cities to collect and curate," what a great word choice, "collect and curate huge amounts of data capable of sustaining and improving urban life thanks to the new and ever-growing web of connected technology, aka the Internet of Things." IoT, you keep hearing that phrase?
Yeah, of course.
And he says,
we had Intel on about 2 months ago talking about the Internet of Things.
Right. And by the way, that huge amounts of data they're talking about, so forth, in the infrastructure, civil engineering geekdom, that's called big data. And he goes on to say, last year, Los Angeles, I love this, last year, Los Angeles became the first city in the world to synchronize its traffic lights, all 4,500 of them, reducing traffic time on major LA corridors by about 12%, according to the city's Department of Transportation. Now, it goes on to say in Singapore, city authorities are testing smart systems for managing parking and waste disposal to adjust to daily and weekly patterns. Holy smokes. In New York City, mobile air pollution monitors help city leaders pinpoint those neighborhoods most affected by smog and pollutants so residents can modify their commuting paths and preferred modes of transportation to avoid exposure to higher levels of pollution. Cool. And cities across the United States, including Chicago, Seattle, and Washington, D.C., are hiring chief technology officers to oversee broad implementation of digital systems and technologies. Wow. And more city functions evolve, as more and more city functions evolve from analog to digital, it makes sense for municipalities to put the improvement, functionality, and security of those systems into one department, the Department of Technology, right? And those cities' chief technology officers will quickly become indispensable cabinet positions. Now, I'm going to do a little shameless promotion for my company that I work for, Autodesk, for a moment. Friends, if you're interested in this kind of stuff, I'm going to ask you, in your vast amount of free time, I'm sure you have lots, to go out to Autodesk.com and just do a search under the word infra, I-N-F-R-A, works, W-O-R-K-S, infra works. And if you're diligent and spend a little time learning about this technology that we have, what it does is it helps with this process of creating the smart city. And the way it helps is it allows city designers and its chief technology officers and all the contractors that work for them to take enormous amounts of disparate data, aerial data, images, GIS data, all kinds of data, and aggregate it and then generate 3D models of a city, of an entire city if you want, so that you can then start doing things like management and so on. I'll leave it at that. Just go out there, Autodesk.com, search under InfraWorks, spend some time with that, and you'll see how our technology is helping to do what this story was just talking about. In other words, to help usher in the era of the smart city.
Exactly. Well, again, an interesting story. What I want to do is, we've been doing the best, the biggest, the number, and this next story is interesting because it's entitled "The Biggest Tech Disappointments." There were disappointments in the technology world of 2014. Evidently, there were a few of them, and and we're going to tell you what those are right now.
Yeah, see if you agree. And in fact, it's probably a good idea because I think I've been on kind of a self-induced sugar rush here for the last 20 minutes. Time to bring it on down. Bring it on down. Okay, biggest tech disappointments of 2014. This is on geek.com, another really fun site. Story by Lee Matthews. Now, I had even forgotten this existed. It's terrible. That's how unfortunate it was for Amazon. Amazon is hitting it out of the park on so many places, but this story says one of the big disappointments for 2014 was the Amazon Fire Phone, right? I think there's not a lot of surprise there. It said expectations were lofty for Amazon's long-rumored smartphone. The people staring at it out of frame in the teaser video looked pretty amazed by it. He's talking about one of the teaser videos the company created. Ultimately, though, its high price tag, carrier exclusivity, and gimmicky user experience caused it to trip at the finish line. Amazon was left with millions of phones they couldn't sell and ended up slashing prices, but Jeff Bezos assured everyone that the Fire Phone wasn't a mistake. It was just the first iteration. There will be others, and they'll be a lot better. What does that say to someone who paid for one of these things?
You mean what Jeff Bezos was saying, it wasn't a mistake, it was just the first iteration, there'll be more mistakes?
Yeah, well, more mistakes, so the next one will be better, and if you bought one of these things, you'd say, well, gosh, I'm glad I was your guinea pig, buddy.
Yeah, exactly. It had a couple of things I thought were kind of cool. They had something called the Firefly, which was kind of interesting. You'd hold up the camera of the phone, and it would look at something, and these little fireflies would go, and then it would actually interpret and tell you what that item is, which was kind of. Although CamFind does the same thing. There are a number of apps that you can do that would do something very similar to it. But it was built into the OS, and that was kind of neat, you know.
Yeah. Well, like I say, I think I'm a big fan of Amazon.com. I'm a Amazon Prime subscriber. I'm intrigued with their. I haven't played with one yet, but I'm really intrigued with their streaming player, the one that you can talk into, the Amazon Fire TV or whatever they call it. I think that's kind of cool.
And the Fire Stick too. The Fire Stick also.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the Fire. That's right, the Fire Stick. I think the thing that I think is genius about where they're headed with that is the voice command, because it is extraordinarily annoying for me to take my little remote control for my Blu-ray player that happens to have all those built-in apps like Hulu Plus and Netflix and so forth, right? No surprise. So it's like the Roku and all those other products. But, you have to I'm looking for New Girl or something. N. E. Forget that. And so,
Hey, Craig.
Yes, I know.
Hey, Craig.
I know this is coming. Okay, yes, Ben.
Wait a minute. This is an inside joke. Fill me in, Ben. We all want to know.
Craig is so adamant against voice commands for television viewing.
Well, I can understand if you want to find
search.
You want to search for something on the Cartoon Network and you can just say it. Great. But when you're doing channel surfing, I just want the remote in my hand going up, down. You can just do it, or pick up a grid and go. You can do it a lot more quickly than you can with voice.
Oh yeah, no, I think I see your point there with if I'm looking at what's on right now and so forth. Yes, that doesn't bother me. I'm talking about a Netflix experience or something like that, and let's say I want to know every movie that involves a certain actor or actress. It would be so nice to do that by voice command, because doing searches with that tippity tappity stuff. No,
Craig, you are thinking of a grid, and I hate to break it to you, but the grid is going away.
No!
I
like the grid.
Is coming around. Live TV is going away.
No, don't take my grid away.
Yes, they
don't
will.
take my grid away. That's a song.
No, I love my grid. There's room for both. When you want to use your voice, but not one shouldn't be exclusive. There should be more than one way to do something. There's more than one way to skin a cat, and there's more than one way to surf or to channel surf.
Agree. You know what? I'll give you an historic comparison to what you just said, Craig. I'm old enough to remember a time period when people seriously thought, it's kind of laughable now, seriously thought personal computers were going to go away. Oh, they're going to all be replaced by a web appliance, which was this funny little box-like thing that had very fixed functions, and nobody's going to want a PC anymore. And I remember at that time, like John the Baptist in the wilderness, flailing my arms saying, no, the world of data is going to be inclusive, not exclusive, and it's going to be layered hierarchically as to what you need. What I can get on my wrist through a smartwatch, up to the smartphone, to the tablet, to the notebook, to the heavy iron under my desk if I need that, none of them go away. They're all there because they have their role to play in a hierarchical thing. And in terms of user interface, to your point, guys, about controlling streaming entertainment media and so forth, like an Amazon or a Hulu Plus or whatever, I think you can have a hybrid combo of point and click, touch and activate, along with voice. So it's not all or nothing. It's inclusive and layered by what you need to do.
That prediction you were talking about, Larry Ellison, from the president of Oracle, actually had predicted that years ago. He says, we weren't going to have the computer. It was all going to be internet appliances. And nothing's going to be on your computer. It's all going to be out there in the cloud. And actually, he's that
partly right.
Came true. A lot of that's come true. So Larry was really bang on for that one.
Although, if anyone was going to sell the future, it would be, an Oracle. So.
Well,
a joke from Ben. But yes, but no,
nicely done.
Yeah, he did predict that, and a lot of that did come true. But I think it manifested itself more as we look at the cloud today.
I think it's half right, guys. The cloud part, I agree. That's where things are moving. Yes. But I also still contend people, for their own psychology, maybe it's an age group thing, and I'm an old guy, is I still want that. I still want my little, external hard drive with all my goodies on there. And I'm happy to have it in the cloud too. I want it all. Not all or nothing. I want it all.
But we're seeing more and more applications, even Microsoft, Office 365.
Which I love. Yeah.
All Adobe's products, they're all, and then you're assured of having the latest version. You don't have to go to the store and buy an upgrade. I mean, when you're using it, it's there. So there are definitely a lot, and the price is a lot less expensive, like $99 for the year. So there are a lot of advantages and of having that, and it really does make a lot of sense. But I think there's room for both. I think there'll continue to be room for both.
I agree. I think that's it. It's inclusive, not an exclusive world of technology.
That is the case. Well, we have more of these things to the story here. The biggest tech disappointments for 2014, and we're just kind of starting with that. The Amazon Fire Phone is the first one, but we're going to continue on with this article when we come back. Let me just take a quick moment to mention that our Computer America contests are in full swing. Head over to computeramerica.com, click on the Enter Contest button. We have our Logitech contest where we have not one, not two, but 3 great prizes that we're giving away. That contest finishes next Friday, January the 16th, so you still have time to get your entry in and get a chance to win one of those 3 great prizes. The entry form is right there on the same page. It's really simple to enter now. No more emails. And, of course, our show reminder, winner of the week, that we're going to call that off in the second hour. Someone's going to win that really nice Logitech T650 rechargeable glass touchpad. But we have more. Just sign up. It's free. And it's the show reminder. That's the only publication in the universe that tells you who is going and what's going to be on the Computer America show for the entire week. So it's really good. And by the way, if you didn't get yours last Monday, make sure that you're registered. Just put your email address in there and click subscribe. If you're already registered, it'll tell you you're already registered. Don't worry about it. But if it says no, I mean, if it just says, okay, enter in the additional information, when we shift it over to the new newsletter service, we might have lost your name. So go ahead and resubscribe to the show reminder newsletter just to make sure that you are, in fact, subscribed to it. And then every Friday, from that list of names, we draw the winning name, as we're going to do in the second hour of tonight's show. Ralph Bond is here with us for both hours. We're going to continue our story, biggest tech disappointments of 2014 with him. You're listening to the Computer America Show on the Blog Talk Radio Network, on the IRN Radio Network, and on the Boost Radio Network. We're going to be right back in just a few short moments. You're listening to the Computer America Show.
Broadcasting live. It's the only national radio talk show on computers to air every weeknight. Computer America. Hosted by national columnist Craig Crossman. The first hour's behind us, but there's still more of tech news, tech talk, and your phone calls. We're being beamed nationwide at ComputerAmerica.com. You got computer problems? Bring them on. You're listening to Computer America. Computers run the world, and we run computers. Call us or send us an email to live@computeramerica.com.
Hello and welcome into Hour 2 of the nation's longest-running, nationally syndicated radio talk show on computers. This is the Computer America Show, and I'm your host, Craig Crossman.
And I'm your co-host, Ben.
And we continue on with Ralph Bond. Ralph is with Autodesk, and he joins us every second Friday of the month. It's the first of our shows for 2015 that Ralph joins us. And again, you can follow along everything that we're doing on tonight's show. All you have to do is go to our homepage at computeramerica.com, click on the middle button. There's a show notes. It's right in the middle of the page. Interact with the show. You'll see today's show, the 9th of January, and underneath there that says Cheat Notes. And that opens up a Google Docs document, and you can follow along with everything that we're talking about on tonight's program. You can see the pictures. You got links. It's there. And just go ahead and do it. It just makes the show that much more fun to participate with. So, Ralph, let's continue on. We're doing the fifth story, biggest tech disappointments of 2014. We started off with the Amazon Fire Phone and said why. Now, this next thing is solar setbacks. Continue on.
Yeah, right. And again, what we're doing is biggest tech disappointments 2014 from Geek.com, story by Lee Matthews. And one of the things he cites, there were many others too, but he cites solar setbacks. This was a massive year for solar power, he says, but all the expansion came with a couple of notable downsides. In March of last year, pilots reported being forced to fly blind thanks to glare from the massive new Ivanpah, I think that's how it's pronounced, Ivanpah facility near Las Vegas. And that was after previous trouble had been reported in February. The garage door-sized mirrors had already been cooking hapless birds as they flew by.
Oh. Wow.
I
So
remember
that's
that
pretty
one.
scary. Well, you know what? I think there was a not related to solar power, but there was a building, a skyscraper built. I can't remember what city it was, but they tried this really kind of groovy reflective glass on the exterior of the a building, and what it wound up doing was doing. Remember when you were kids, and you'd take the magnifying glass and go out there and burn stuff, right?
I would.
Well,
Oh.
it was burning cars. I'm kidding you not. It was actually melting cars and doing horrible stuff because it was like focusing all the solar energy and shooting a beam of light. They had to reskin the building, if I recall right. Google that. I think I can't remember where it was, but it was maybe it was in Europe. It was some tremendously controversial thing
No
about this building cooking people.
Good. All right. Well, then, of course, smartwatches.
Yes, right.
It's another technological disappointment, evidently.
Right. According to the author here, it says, if you were hoping that 2014 would be the year that someone finally offered up a smartwatch that was really worth getting excited about, well, you're probably still hoping. Now, again, let's see what happens in this year. But he says the current generation showed definite signs of improvement. Designs are clunky, quality software remains elusive, and battery life continues to be a problem. Full-colored Android Wear watches still aren't anywhere close to delivering the kind of endurance that the e-ink Pebble does, and the Pebble is one of the kind of grandfathers of this category. On a good note, poor sales have led to some heavy discounts, so you can take at least pick up a current generation smartwatch pretty cheaply now if you really want one. Guys, when is the Apple Watch coming out?
Mostly,
I've forgotten.
they're saying in March. Or I think they're.
Yeah, spring sometime.
Yeah, that should be pretty soon.
Well, yeah, exactly.
That'll be interesting to see how that stacks up. I mean,
Smartwatches seem like such a flop, though. The article you found actually has it right. I don't see anyone really wanting them.
yeah, it's for me. I've got my smartphone and it's just doing what I need to do. I mean, the only thing as a cardio guy, I could see a watch that's going to monitor my heart rate and a few things like that could be a nice convenience thing. But
Well, it's
I
going to.
don't know.
Remember, the smartwatch from Apple is going to, extend the phone's capability. So
Well,
you can
yeah.
make calls and things like that. It's going to be a lot more than just that.
Well, that makes sense to me. That symbiotic relationship with my phone makes sense. So the watch does what it does best and augments the
the phone,
which is usually in my pocket, and maybe I don't have to dumpster dive from my pocket all the time, and be able to see some basic information on my watch. That would be cool.
I don't know. Maybe someone who doesn't care about fitness, as fit of a specimen as I am, a fitness tracking device is just something I, personally, whatever. By the way, I found the skyscraper you were talking about. It is in London.
Ah, London. Okay, I knew it was overseas. I thought. And what did they say? It was melting car dashboards or doing something horrible.
It's a 37-floor building, and it's made out of all this glass. It's nice and curved. And it turns out that for 2 weeks, only 2 weeks, the sun is at the right position, and for only 2 hours a day during those weeks, it focuses on 3 parking spaces next to the building and actually scorches the paint off of the cars. So, I mean,
engineers never have foreseen that, right?
It's not even like it's a continuous thing. It's only those 2 weeks, those 2 hours in those 2 weeks of the entire year.
It's like Stonehenge. The heel stone.
Yeah.
This came over just at the right point once a year.
Although Stonehenge was, intelligently designed, and this one was not very intelligently designed.
Oh man, I knew I didn't have it quite right. I thought it was kind of like everyday side of it, but still, it's kind of hilarious. Well, not hilarious to the people that have their cars cooked, but oh well.
You can't fault them. I mean, that was
no. Who knew?
Who knew that was going to happen? So many things in science have they're discoveries that they weren't even anticipated. They were just accidents. So.
Yeah, that's it. You got that right. Anyway, and to finish up the story about disappointments, now. For this author, 4K video was a disappointment, not because of the displays, but content. He says, don't get us wrong. Higher resolution displays are definitely a good thing. Content, however, is painfully slow to arrive. And it looks like most of your current devices aren't going to be able to stream it once it's more readily available anyway. Of course, you may you may not want to. 4K video is going to burn through your data cap in no time. So, a little mild little thing about content and so forth. We'll see what happens. I know that Netflix has been experimenting with streaming 4K and a few things like that. I don't know how successful it's been or not, if you guys have heard much about that.
Well,
but
yeah, again, I think in computers, I think it's going to have a good use. Although I'm hearing things that the resolution is so high that the text gets very, very small, and it makes it difficult to read. But I'm sure there will be adjustments for that. But yeah, higher resolution evidently doesn't necessarily mean it's always going to be better. There are other factors involved with 4K.
Yep.
Of course, when you get into Blu-ray video, or there's not that much out there, as they say. So it's going to take time if it's ever going to happen.
4K doesn't seem like a flop. It's just not here yet.
Mm-hmm.
It's evolving, right? The hardware is ahead of the content.
Yeah.
Very clearly. Yeah.
Hardware is always ahead of software anyway. It always has.
Typically speaking, that's true. Yeah. And again, I'm embarrassed to say I have never seen. Of course, I've seen 4K televisions, and for even our Costco has them going on, and they have some canned content that shows off 4K, and it's beautiful, and I get it. But you know what I haven't experienced yet, guys, and maybe you have, is what happens when you take one of these 4K players that upscales your Blu-ray to a pseudo 4K, and what does that look like? Is it noticeably better or different? Have you guys experienced that? That could be compelling because there's lots of Blu-ray content, and if magically the chipset can make it look even more groovy, might be something to consider. I don't know.
Yeah. But then we get into that factor again that I've talked about for some time. That's that hyper realism happens, where it's so real, it looks so real, and then you lose. It's like watching a live newscast, and the movie, the comfort of the movie that you get, that the graininess of the movie makes it feel like things can happen. When you're watching live video, you don't think you lose that sense.
That's that strong, ingrained feeling that, hey, only 24 frames per second is a movie. That's what movies are filmed in, and that's what feels cinematic.
Right.
So, as soon as you start filming 48, 4K, high definition, that kind of thing, the technology, I'm sure once people get, a couple years of watching these, as Craig calls them, hyper-realistic movies, they'll adapt. It's just right now it seems odd and strange and not like a movie.
Yeah, it is.
Interesting point.
It needs to change.
It is. But we've seen it again. Was it The Hobbit? A series of films had a high frame rate, and it was met with mixed reaction. The cinematic effect is basically lost, is what it is. Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah.
Okay, well, so there's the disappointments for 2014, the biggest tech disappointments of 2014, and so let's move to the some of the next stories now. We just finished up with the holiday season, but I want to skip over to story 7, and this is Google lists the 127 best free Android apps in the world. This is kind of
cool story. This comes from a website called BGR.com, story by Zach Epstein, and the story says Google has gone through the hundreds of thousands of apps in its Google Play App Store and cherry-picked the cream of the crop. The result is a list of 127 Android apps that Google has deemed to be must-have apps, and old and new Android users alike should check them out. The best part, by the way, is that they're almost all completely free. When Google takes the time to put together its own list of must-have Android apps, however, it's definitely worth checking out. There's a link in here. I just captured a screen image from the listing here just to show a few of them, and you can see some of the titles like Rival Knights and so on. Of course, Hulu, that's no surprise. Netflix, no surprise, and so on. Some I'm not familiar with. Push Bullet, I'm not familiar with, and so on. But again, if you're interested and looking and you have an Android device, you want to see some of these top-rated products. Now, the one thing I'd kind of wondered, not to be cynical, is did the people who develop these things pay a little something to be on this list, or is it a really pure editorial kind of collection? So a little tiny bit of caution there about how those apps wound up where they are, but nonetheless, it certainly couldn't hurt. And as it says here, most of these are free, and in fact, in the screen grab I did, every single one of them is free.
There you go. All right. So, and again, you can see all these at the website that you have the link to.
Exactly. Right.
You've talked about some of them, like they have Hulu and Netflix, obviously.
Yeah.
But they have things called Push Bullet and Top Hatter Fashion and Rival Nights. They got some interesting ones here.
And Shopular coupons. Coupons are a big deal.
Yes, they are.
I've just started using coupons. My wife sent me to Joann Fabrics, one of these retail outlets.
Yeah.
Joann Fabrics. They have crafting things in fabrics.
One of my wife's favorite places.
Yeah. So she said, you need to go get this for me. I want you to download their app. It's got the coupons. Everything was all on the app, and I went up to the register and I just went, showed them the thing, and boom, got my 20% discount just before the holidays. Great. I'm a big fan. I love that stuff.
Coupons are great. I mean, and most every place now, either you print them or you have them on your smartphone.
On your phone, right?
Yeah, exactly. But coupons are great. Yeah. We just went to the Outback to celebrate Ben.
Oh yeah.
And I had a 20% off coupon.
Nice. Okay, my favorite thing at the Outback. Yes, steaks. I love steaks. But that's kind of in my food past. where I love the bloomin' onion. Do they still do the onion thing that they deep fry and it opens up and you dip in the? Oh God!
Their trademark. Their trademark.
Yeah, bring it on.
Have you ever seen the machine that actually makes the bloomin' onion?
No, how does it work?
It's very interesting. You put a whole onion in and it goes chunk and it just spreads it out like that, and it's
wow.
Yeah. It's very interesting.
Oh, I love the bloomin' onion. You could just, onion rings are great, but the bloomin' onion, oh yeah, that's awesome.
Well, as we continue on,
did you know the bloomin' onion has 2,000 calories?
Damn it! Now I can't have it.
No, that's one of the best features.
No, it's cool. It would just take you 9 hours of walking just to burn it off, so that's good.
That's helpful.
A lot.
Ben has become more health conscious.
I'm just saying, if eat the bloomin' onion and then go run your triathlon / marathon duo. Just
burn it
out with proper activity.
You just can't win. Of course something yummy is bad.
It's delicious, though.
It certainly is. Of course, I think the bloomin' onion is supposed to be a social and shared experience. I don't think they intend you to eat the whole thing yourself.
Ben he hoards it. He just gets around it.
I could though. No, it's so good, but why does everything good have to be so bad for you?
I know. What is it? Why? I don't get it.
Oh, vegans, how do you do it?
If nature would have provided for that,
No, nature did.
Yeah, make broccoli.
Nature made high-calorie, high-fat foods delicious because that's what you need to survive.
That's right.
Yeah. That's right.
Oh,
well, this next story 8, the top 17 gaming gadgets you can buy right now.
This, to me, was a whole lot of fun, especially the first item. This comes from Engadget. It's a story by Andy Bowen. You really got to check this out. Now, I just thought this first product was really clever. I would love to see it in action. It would be so cool if you guys could get one and test it and see if this thing delivers. So it's called, and the picture in the show notes is really great. Check it out. It's called the Retron or Retron, like retro 5 gaming console. All right, and it's from the Engadget Buyer's Guide in the gaming category, which is also a great resource. And Hyperkins, I think that's how I pronounce it, Hyperkins, Hyperkins Retron 5 can solve all of your retro gaming problems. I have a lot of those problems. Not only does the Android Power Console support cartridges from several classic systems, this is the killer, including the NES, SNES, Famicom, Sega Genesis, Game Boy, Game Boy Color, and Game Boy Advance, and I've got a number of those devices in the closet. but it also outputs them all through HDMI, giving you a crystal clear picture on modern TVs. Wait a minute. You know, I've got those old cartridge games. I've got the old games. They're all kind of clunky, gathering dust. Some of them aren't working that great, but the cartridges are still good.
Sure.
And
Nothing
yeah,
solid state. Yeah, exactly.
yeah, exactly. So wouldn't it be super fun to have this device, if it works, if it's really good, and just be able to bring new life to those things and have a blast playing games that, at least in that generation of games, I could still play those games. I can't handle some of this Call of Duty and all this sort of stuff, but these games are fun, so I thought it was a cool and fun idea.
Yes, no to that one. There was a big hubbub, I think, last year, that the most Game Boy games, you know, like the little cartridges, and I'm sure most of the other cartridges, the battery in the Game Boy games, they have like a little, you know, one of
Oh,
the
they
little flat
do.
batteries.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, and that's how you save games. And that battery has
Oh,
a
of course.
15-year life cycle. So
Okay.
everyone's Game Boy game, their old Game Boy games, they're all dying. So you have to actually open up the cartridge and put a new battery in if you ever want to save your game.
You know, Ben, you just destroyed my fantasy about Bloomin' Onions, and now you have, you know, knocked this out. My
was a big
fantasy
buzzkill
about
for it. That's what I did.
resurrecting my games.
Ruining poor Ralph's life, Ben.
I'm just saying, you can still play them. It's just you won't be able to save.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I never had good enough games to save anyway, so. But a cool concept, regardless.
Yeah.
A great idea. You know, why not create a single device that can accommodate multiple form factors from days gone by? Pretty interesting thing, because I've seen one-off things where it's just maybe something that lets you do Sega Genesis and only that, right?
Yeah.
But this is a pretty fun idea.
Now, again, you're picking certain ones. The article, top 17 gaming gadgets, you have like 3, so that's one of them. And then this other one here called the Razor Blade.
Right, Razor Blade, and there's a picture here. And again, it's from the Engadget Buyer's Guide in the gaming category, and the article says it's not cheap, but if you have deep pockets, the new Razor Blade is the closest thing you'll find to a no-compromise gaming laptop. Aside from the price, the one thing we don't like about the new Blade is that it trades stellar battery life for a sharper 3,200 by 1,800 pixel display. So they don't give you a whole lot of information. You really should use the show notes. Go to the Buyer's Guide and learn more if you're interested in that particular product.
Yeah, all right. And this next thing, which is the A50 wireless headset. This looks very nice.
Yeah, it's kind of a cool design. Again, the show notes, you'll see the picture. I love it just for its design sense. It's kind of cool. That black and yellow sort of got a scuba diver look to it in a way that I kind of like. It says here, there are a plethora of cheaper gaming headsets out there, but we can say without a doubt that the Astro A50 wireless headset is the best you can buy. Now, by the way, it costs $300, so it better be pretty good. Yeah. They also sound incredible and are extremely easy to set up and operate. And it's kind of interesting the way they show this device and then the headphones, so that must be the wireless transceiver or what have you that's for the device. But a very beautiful looking design, very elegant.
Very, very cool. All right. Now, we actually touched a little bit about this. Sony is getting ready to launch a super thin tablet soon. Very soon.
Yeah. So you guys have already covered this story in another show?
I don't think, no, we didn't cover this particular one, but we were talking about Sony in general. But
gotcha. Okay, great. So this story was on the eve of CES, and it's from Techno Buffalo, a story by Todd Hazelton. And you can see in the show notes, you can see the picture, and there's a human hand on top of the edge of this device, and you can just see how very, very thin it is. It says, Sony may have a few surprises during the 2015 Consumer Electronics Show. So again, this was written just before CES, so I'm going to presume that Sony must have rolled this thing out. And we can probably Google it. Someone listening to the show, or Ben, or somebody can just take a peek and see if it did come out, which kicks off early next week. Again, this was written just before CES. Right now, we think the company may unveil at least one new mobile device but perhaps might have the new Xperia Z4 smartphone in addition to a tablet in store. Now, a recent teaser suggests that whatever is on deck is extremely thin, and a new report from DigiTimes provides some insight as to what the device may have. So I don't know if anybody's had a chance to Google and see if this has already come out, because they're talking about a 12.9-inch tablet with a 3,840 by 1440 pixel display. Any luck finding that, guys?
No. I haven't looked at it, but
and I'm looking for a name, or for like an actual name in the article for what the name of this tablet is.
Yeah, no, they didn't divulge a name in this pre-CES show one, but I thought it was kind of interesting. I thought maybe by the time we talked about it tonight, there'd be some information on it. But maybe someone in the chat room could poke around and maybe find this thing too. But again, this is all about how they're supposed to have introduced it at CES. And also during the Mobile World Congress trade show in March, it should be there as well, and so on and so forth. The price tag is probably going to be over $1,000, this article speculates. So there's something to look for. Right? It is 8.6 millimeters thin, by the way, and so interesting to see what Sony's going to try to do here with a tablet, sort of like their response to the latest tablets from Apple, I would presume, in terms of the thinness factor.
Yeah. Yeah, it's almost thin. You almost can cut yourself on the edge. It's really
yeah. How thin is the latest best iPad? And I'm wondering how that compares to the 8.6 millimeter thickness.
The iPad's a 10-inch screen. This is a 12.9-inch.
Yeah, 12.9, and then I'm wondering about in terms of the thickness issue if this is actually thinner than the current top-of-the-line new iPads. I wonder if it is. It's 8.6 millimeters thin is what the Sony is supposed to be.
I'm assuming it's an Android tablet.
I would guess yes. It doesn't say in this article, does it? No, it doesn't. So I'm going to guess it must be.
Okay.
Yeah, so, like we didn't do that one. We did one by Lenovo last night, which was a laptop that weighed 1.7 pounds.
Oh my, nice.
Not this particular one.
That's cool.
Now, yeah, we have time for this next story. Okay, story 11. Tesla obviously been in the news quite a bit, and evidently they're announcing their Tesla Roadster, which gets a range increase to a truly crazy 400 miles on a charge.
Isn't that something? That's one of the barriers, of course, to practicality for electric cars, right? Is range. Yeah. That's always been the standard objection. So here's a story from Ars Technical, story by Lee Hutchinson, and as you say, it's all about this 400 miles maximum range Tesla car that they've developed. So it says here, Tesla Motors has recently been focused on improvements to its flagship electric vehicle, the Model S, giving it a second motor and Knight Rider-like self-driving capabilities. Gotta love that. But Tesla was only able to build the Model S in the first place because of the practical experience it gained from constructing and selling the sedan's predecessor, the Tesla Roadster. The Lotus-derived Roadster has mostly left the spotlight after its limited production run ended in 2012, but Tesla will be giving a late Christmas present to Roadster owners. Existing Roadsters will be upgraded with changes that will boost the car's range by 40 to 50%, up to a maximum of 400 miles on a single charge. Now, isn't that interesting? They can do. It must be some kind of like firmware update or something. How? What? Fascinating. The upgrades are described in a post on the Tesla Motors blog and are a combination of an upgraded 7 kilowatt per hour battery pack, a new aerodynamic kit to lower the Roadster's drag coefficient from 0.36 to 0.31, still far higher than the Model S's streamlined 0.24, and new tires to lower the Roadster's rolling resistance. So there's your answer as to how they're doing it. When combined with the specific set of speeds and driving conditions that Tesla says it will demonstrate in early 2015, so very soon, the Roadster should be able to travel considerably farther per charge than its younger Model S sibling. So I think the real takeaway here is continued advancements, combinations of technologies and so forth to help extend the range of an electric car.
Now, Ben, this wasn't the car that Mike Cermak was waiting for, right?
No, he was waiting for I want to call it the Model K, but it's their
X.
Maybe it was the Model X. It was the Tesla SUV kind of deal.
Right.
Yeah. You guys ever been into a Tesla showroom?
No, I want to so bad. They always have such good-looking cars.
So for the listeners who may not be aware, I live just outside of Portland, Oregon, and we have a big shopping mall, of course, and we have many. But one of the shopping malls we have has a Tesla showroom, so it's not a car dealership situation. That's not their way of doing it. You go, they're putting these things in high traffic, normal human being exposure situations like a shopping mall, an enclosed shopping mall. And so you go in and it's sort of like, imagine a car dealership miniaturized and with the kind of elegance and beautiful display sense of an Apple store. So think of that. And 2 or 3 cars in the environment and wonderful educational stuff. The salespeople are super cool. They're not, twisting your arm. What can I do to get you into a Tesla today? No, that's not what's going on there at all. It's just an incredible experience. So, friends, if you live anywhere that has a Tesla auto showroom, if you want to call it that, within your shopping mall, I encourage you to go check it out, guys. It's a real blast.
Well, you can see why. I mean, in the traditional car dealership setup, they're hounding you, begging you, doing anything they can possibly do to make you walk out of that door with a car.
Right.
And Tesla, I mean, they can't make enough of them. People want them left and right, and they aren't selling them secondhand. It's you have to be on a waiting list for like 3 to 4 years just to get one.
That's right.
They don't have to sell you a car. They just have to show you the goods.
No, yeah, and they also arrange, part of what the stores do that I think is a really fun thing is they will book you or arrange you for a nice test drive experience and so forth. So it's unlike any car kind of buying, if you want to call it that, experience that I've ever seen. And my wife and I just had the best time just having fun and never felt a moment's pressure.
No, but we're still waiting for the infrastructure to come up, because
you're right.
They're not like gas stations. They're electrical charging stations, and although more and more of them are appearing, you have to be careful because if you run out of electrical power and you're in the middle of all there are gas stations around, you could be in a world of hurt. Although I understand you do have a plug, and you could charge it with a regular electrical outlet, but that's going to take you a much longer time to charge it than these chargers.
Right.
They are. I mean, they do have certain routes you can take. Like I know there's a route that you can take, the entire West Coast. You can go from like somewhere in Washington all the way down to Southern California. All by using their chargers. There's one that you can go from to the west, all by using their superchargers. I mean, right now they're making routes, but as for one on every street corner like a gas station right now, that's going to be some time away.
All right, coming up in the next half hour, we're going to have our show reminder winner of the week, and stories like Chromebooks can now run Linux in a window, and 4K HD TVs will finally arrive this year. Those stories and more coming up. Stay with us. Looking for a best friend? Brother Wolf Animal Rescue has your best friend waiting just for you. The mission is to protect and enhance the lives of companion animals and the people who love them. Their no-kill rescue shelter is open year-round, making it easy for people to adopt their best new friend. This year, Brother Wolf will find homes for over 2,400 orphan dogs, puppies, cats, and kittens. All have ended up as an orphan through no fault of their own. Brother Wolf has created a safe, nurturing environment where these special animals can heal emotionally and physically until they find a lifelong home. Their life-saving transport program brings dogs and puppies from overcrowded shelters in the south to rescues in the north where homes are easier to find. Brother Wolf Animal Rescue is a 501c3 organization. To learn more about their life-saving work and to make a donation, visit their website at www.bwar.org. That's www.bwar.org. Help to realize Brother Wolf's vision when no animal is euthanized for lack of a home.
Who's a good boy?
Don't complain about your cable bill going up and up and up. Do something about it. Grab a pencil and jot down this special number. 1-866-663-MY-TV. The more cable TV rates go up, the better digital satellite TV looks. So, disable the cable and get more of your favorite channels in 100% digital quality for less money. Call 1-866-663-MY-TV right now to sign up for packages starting as low as $19.99 and up to 4 rooms. And there's no equipment to buy. That includes your free HD TV upgrade, your free DVR upgrade, and your free professional installation. And the best part, the pristine digital picture and sound. Call 1-866-663-MY-TV. So, what are you waiting for? Pull out without your major credit or debit card. Call 1-866-663-MyTV. 1-866-663-MyTV. Disable the cable, cut costs, and get more. Call 1-866-663-MyTV. 1-866-663-MyTV.
Happy to see you. It's Marty Winston with a news tips bulletin review for Computer America of the Jill E. Just Silwax laptop bag. Jill E. Designs bags are an admitted favorite here for how well and elegantly they accommodate our tech and other cargo. Their Just Silwax 15-inch laptop bag sports two zip-top 7-inch by 6-inch pockets up front and inside an arsenal of carry conveniences. A zip-to-open frontal pouch offers a handy place to stash tissues or vitamins or trade show badges, for example. Under its zipper are two pen-sized sleeves, a 3-finger wide pocket, and a 4-finger wide pocket. Pack whatever else you want in the 2 to 3 inch depth of its main chamber space. Behind it and forward of a padded divider is a pouch that can fit a 10-inch class tablet, and on the other side of the divider, a perfect place for a notebook, both secured by a Velcro attached top strap. Close the main compartment, and there's still a zipper over compartment big enough to hold documents or magazines, remember those? Plus a second, slightly narrower zipper at the bottom to let you slide what you need in or out in tight spaces like airline seats. On one side, a zipper chamber opens to a net that can hold either a water bottle or sunglasses, depending on your need. Bottom line, the Jill E. Designs Just Silwax 15-inch laptop bag straps a lot of happy over your shoulder. This is Marty Winston with a News Tips Bulletin Review for Computer America.
Welcome back to the Computer America Show. Bottom of the hour again in the second hour on a Friday, and when the stars align such as that, we like to give away a prize because, you know, what else do you do when you're pagan? So, yeah, Craig.
All right. Well, we have this. He's actually the first show reminder winner for 2015. All right. And that person is Mel Gibson. That's right.
All right, I'll say it. Is it the one we're all thinking of?
What?
Is it the one we're all thinking of?
What? Del Gibson? Who are you thinking about?
Mel Gibson.
No, Del Gibson.
Del Gibson with a D.
Del Gibson. D.
Never
Yes.
mind.
Del.
Oh, that guy.
Yeah. It must be his brother. Del Gibson wins the Logitech wireless rechargeable touchpad T650. Okay, valid at $80, $79.95. So congratulations, Del. You are this week's show reminder winner. And again, if you want to be just like Del, just head over to our website at computeramerica.com. Go to our contest page and enter and subscribe to the weekly show reminder. And who knows, maybe next week we'll be calling your name. You know? So congratulations to you, Del. All right, in the meantime, Ralph and I and Ben are doing the different stories that Ralph finds out for the week, and I kind of teach two of them. The dogs are going crazy here. But yeah. Hey! Yeah.
By the way, why did you skip the story of the most pirated movies?
Well, because we can get to those, but I wanted to get to these last two, and then we'll finish with the movies.
Okay, all right.
There's method to that. Story 17 reads now: the Chromebooks can now run Linux in a window.
Yes, and someone in the chat room was saying how ironic, running Linux in a window. Oh, that's pretty good. This story comes from The Next Web. It's a story by Roberto Baldwin, and again, it's in our show notes. And it says Google's Chrome OS just got a little bit more useful. Google evangelist Francois Beaufort posted on Google Plus that the Chrome OS now supports running Linux in a window via a, it says here, crouton. Is that like croutons like you put on your salad? Anyway, a crouton Chrome extension. Am I saying that right, guys?
Yeah, crouton.
Looks like it.
Extension. Yes, exactly.
You know, I'm hungry. When someone says croutons, can be blooming onions, croutons. It's all, food related. Anyway, it's spelled Crouton Chrome extension. And now it goes on to say, before you use the extension, you'll have to put your Chromebook in developer mode. So this is, kind of early stuff here. Prior to today's announcement, now he's referencing December the 30th, you had to use a virtual terminals and switch back and forth between your Linux distro and Chrome OS. Now, it's in one handy-dandy window right there in the main operating system. So you can read more about this if you're interested. There's a link there for the story. But I just thought that was kind of cool. Yeah. And you got to love that. How cool would that be to have the Chrome OS and then have all the interesting things you might be able to do and want to do with your Linux capabilities? So I think it's a pretty smart idea.
Yeah, I think so too. Absolutely. I think running Linux on anything is a smart idea.
Yeah, there you go. I agree.
Okay, and then this next story I want to get this in is 4K HD TVs will, and in parentheses, finally arrive in 2015. Okay.
Yeah, and of course they've been with us, so you'll see what they're driving at here. This is a story by Will Greenwald in PC Magazine Online, and it says 4K televisions have been around for a few years, of course, but they haven't quite clicked with most consumers for two reasons. First, they have been much more expensive than 1080p TVs, and second, there simply hasn't been much content available in 4K, something we were talking about earlier this evening. Now, HD TV manufacturers have been steadily chipping away at the first problem, the cost, and streaming media services are working hard to fix the second. Okay? It says you'll still have to pay a premium for a 4K television in 2015, but expect that price to stabilize around $2,000 to $3,000 for big screens from major manufacturers, and a few to even squeak into the $1,500 and $2,000 range. With more companies making more 4K panels in more sizes, the technology has steadily become more affordable across the board. It's no longer just a small handful of display manufacturers carefully rolling out a few ultra-high def panels off the freshly built and configured assembly lines. Every major HD TV brand either already has 4K televisions in their lineup or will announce them at CES, again, just now happening, and in either case, they'll be showing off new and more affordable 4K screens at the Consumer Electronics Show. And then the subhead here is streaming is the future. So what's interesting about this, you look at the history of technology, right? When we entered the Blu-ray era, it was still the premise that you're going to rent an actual disc, and maybe you have Netflix mail the disc to your home, or you go to one of the red box machines or whatever. It's all going to be, a disc, something in your hand, right? And what this author is going to talk about here, which I thought was kind of an interesting perspective, is that in this case, if you get the 4K displays and monitors, televisions rather, down to an acceptable price range, he's saying don't expect the media to be tangible like it was in the Blu-ray and previously the DVD era, but rather delivered from the cloud, right? And I think that either streaming or downloaded and so on. So he says streaming is the future. That leaves the problem of 4K content or lack thereof. We need a reason to invest in 4K, even if that investment is becoming more affordable. Sony and Samsung have tried offering their own proprietary sources of 4K movies and shows. Sony's ultra-high def 4K streaming player and Samsung's hard drive full of 4K movies. But we haven't seen a physical media format to actually let us buy and play higher resolution content. That's the point I'm alluding to a moment ago. And then he goes on to say, we probably still won't at CES in 2015. That's where YouTube, Netflix, Amazon Instant Video, Hulu Plus, Vudu, and other streaming video services come in. YouTube has supported 4K content for more than a year. Netflix began streaming some shows in 4K earlier in 2014, and Amazon Instant Video started offering 4K programming last month, so he means the tail end of last year. Expect that trend to continue, not just with these outlets, but with other major streaming services too. So again, what I liked about the article is it just made me stop and think, oh, Yeah, talk about the cloud, Craig, and Ben. We were talking about that earlier, and Oracle being not off the market years ago, and that I think in this respect, that's probably how 4K content is going to get democratized and delivered is through the streaming capabilities and downloads and so forth. So interesting take on the whole scheme.
Yep, absolutely. And I think 2015 we're going to see a lot more.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
All right, so let's go back to story 10. Ben wants to do.
Well, I wanted to do it too.
And these are the 20 most pirated movies of 2014.
Yeah. I thought this was pretty cool. This comes from Gizmodo, story by Ashley Feinberg, and it says here, according to Variety magazine, right? Data from security firm Excipio, quite a few Oscar nominees hit the top 10. Here are your top 20 most pirated films in 2000 for all of their unpaid glory, which I think is kind of comical. And I wonder if many Oscar-winning actors or actresses think, gosh, I didn't make the top 10 most pirated movies. I'm a failure in life. Dang it. So the top number one is The Wolf of Wall Street. You guys have seen that film, right?
No, I actually haven't seen that. No, I haven't seen that.
Okay. You know what? I have to editorialize for a moment before we continue on.
Yeah.
The Wolf of Wall Street, I think, is generally categorized as a comedy. You watch that film and tell me if that's a comedy. There are a couple of chuckles here and there, but it's a brutal story. It's genius.
Okay. All right. Okay.
Oh.
Well, we lost you. We can't hear you, Ralph. Your audio just cut out. I think you hit your headset. You hit the button. Excellent.
That was like butt dialing my mute button because my hardware mute button was down in my lap. Folks,
all right.
I don't know what hit that. I think it was the little people. I think it was Leonardo DiCaprio saying, I don't want you to promote the fact that top pirated movie, and Leo jumped in magically and did that. Anyway, I'm going to put it over here so we won't do that again. Anyway, so A Wolf of Wall Street, number one pirated movie. Frozen.
We
No
saw
surprise
Frozen.
there.
We actually enjoyed it. We saw Frozen.
I did. I thought it was cute. I thought it was really good.
Nice.
Yeah.
And then this one sort of surprised me. RoboCop, number 3.
Well, that's the later version. Yeah.
Well, right, the later version, but that was an okay movie, but I don't know. For me, it didn't
That doesn't
exactly-
surprise me in the least.
Interesting.
That thing got horrible reviews before it even came out,
Right.
and I do not doubt that people went and pirated it instead of spending money on it and seeing if it was good.
Well, that's true, and that's one of the ways I rationalize keeping my Netflix mail subscription, because I think, if I try a movie and if it's not good, so what? It wasn't like I had to go in the car. I didn't have to, shell out $4 or $5 in the old days like you did in the hardware store. Or the
$5. Yeah, it's really exactly.
Well, you remember that? Hey, the last time we had Hollywood video chains out here in Oregon and Blockbuster chains. And I remember in the old days, the tail end of the physical, go to the store and rent a movie, it was $3.75. And then those folks were starting to do this goofy thing of saying, if you pay 25 cents more, if you mess the disc up, we won't hold you accountable. It'll be okay. And it was just like, it got to be ridiculous. Anyway.
All right.
I digress. Number four. This one doesn't surprise me. Gravity.
Yeah, that was. I didn't think I was going to enjoy that, but after what it wasn't bad. Not bad.
Yeah, it was entertaining. And then number 5, The Hobbit. That's not Desolation of Smaug. Not a surprise. Thor: The Dark World. That doesn't surprise me. Captain America: The Winter Soldier. Got to stop for a second. Have you seen that film? Is that a fun one?
Yeah, I saw it in the theater. It was pretty darn good, actually. I enjoyed it.
Okay, good. That's good to hear because that's my Netflix selection for this weekend.
Oh, is it on Netflix now? I didn't know.
Well, not streaming. I got it in the mail.
Oh,
it was sent to me in the mail.
Okay.
And then number 8, The Legend of Hercules. Number 9, X-Men: Days of Future Past.
Is that the one with the Rock?
I think that's the one with the Rock. Yeah.
Okay.
I get that. Looks kind of campy and entertaining. I always like him anyway.
Yeah. All right. X-Men Days.
X-Men: Days of Future Past. Number 10, 12 Years a Slave. Oh, talk about a hard movie to watch. Oh my, great film, but brutal. Oh my Lord. Number 11, The Hunger Games: Catching Fire. Number 12, American Hustle. Very interesting film, I thought. Number 13, 300, Rise of an Empire. That was certainly a CG extravaganza. Number 14, Transformers, Age of Extinction.
I enjoyed it. I like that.
Yeah, I liked it too. And Godzilla, number 15, I enjoyed that too. That was pretty good.
Yeah.
Number 16, Noah. That was an oddball film. Did you guys see that?
It's not easy to make a biblical film and a blockbuster in the same breath, but I guess Noah tried.
Yeah, that was. I have to go back and read the Old Testament because I don't think I remember the story of Noah having these bizarre kind of like creatures or something that were helping him out, right, guys?
What's the one that's in the movie theaters now? It's a Ridley Scott film, with Moses.
Oh, Exodus.
Exodus.
Or it's a variation of Exodus, right? Yeah, I haven't seen that either. And then let's see. So number 16 was Noah. Number 17, Divergent.
Yeah, I didn't like that at all. I didn't like it.
Now number 18. You guys got me onto this film, and I enjoyed it. Edge of Tomorrow.
Yes, that was very entertaining. I enjoyed that with Tom Cruise. And
I did too. I'm so glad you guys suggested I watch that one because I did, and it was an interesting story premise, sort of Groundhog Day sci-fi, but very clever.
Very clever. Yeah, Emily Blunt was in that too.
Yeah, excellent. I think that's a really good one, and a good one. Number 19. Captain Phillips, what a film! Oh my!
Yeah, you liked it?
Oh, did you? I liked it a lot.
I didn't want to watch it. I haven't watched it yet.
I don't remember it.
It's a good one, guys. It's a tough story to watch, but fortunately, it has a happy ending. The guy gets saved.
Oh, spoiler!
Oh, it's all in the news. It's based on reality, man. But it's a stellar performance by Tom Hanks. If you like Tom Hanks, you'll love this film, and it's a good story. And then number 20, Lone Survivor. For some reason I'm drawing a blank on that. Was that a sci-fi film? I don't remember.
No, not ringing a bell.
Yeah. So those are your top 20 most pirated films, according to Variety magazine and a security firm.
Lone Survivor, by the way, looks to be a military thing. Yeah.
I think I remember something about that. Yeah.
And by the way, something fun to note here that most of these movies, if not all of them, even though they're the most pirated films of 2014, most of them were released in 2013.
You're right. I was thinking about that too. Like Captain Phillips. In fact, I think Captain Phillips might be even older than that. When was that released?
No,
but anyway.
Yeah.
And by the way, there's even numbers here. I didn't mention this. Each one of these in the list, again, go out to our show notes, get the link, and go out there. Wolf of Wall Street, 30 million plus pirated downloads. And it goes down the list from there, 29, so on down, all the way, scaling all the way down to number 20 at 19 million approximately. Right. So pretty interesting.
Now, talk about memorabilia, the Story 13. I want to go to this. This is interesting. Evidently, the very first Star Wars, which was got renamed to Star Wars 4: A New Hope. When it came out, it wasn't called that, but of course, got renamed to Star Wars 4. The first of the Star Wars movies.
Right.
Evidently, somebody took Polaroids, and they're valuable.
Oh yeah, this is not a high-techy story at all, but it certainly is the kind of example of fun things you can find on the internet. I just love this story. It comes from an outlet called The Verge. It's a story by Chris Plant, and the title of the story is "Take a Look at Polaroids from the Set of Star Wars 4: A New Hope." And as Craig was saying, it's the first film, right? And you scroll through the show notes, and I just grabbed a few of them from the story online, and it's just kind of uncanny to see these Polaroid pictures. And there's notes taken by the production crew. Well, here we go. The story says, with enough time, the most ordinary objects can become extraordinary. These Polaroids, on display through January the 4th, 2015 in the British Film Institute, South Bank, so it's already over, the exhibit, but you can still see this stuff online, by the way, as part of an exhibition of materials from the set of Star Wars Episode 4, A New Hope, were taken by crew member Anne Skinner. Way back in time. She's credited for continuity, also known as a script supervisor. It was typical in that time for script supervisors to use instant photographs to supplement quickly written documentation of a scene's setup. The job is incredibly stressful, requiring a keen eye for remembering the placement of everything in a scene.
Yeah, that's very important,
Right?
because obviously if they cut away and they come back and there was
Yeah.
and then the cup isn't there, and that stands out. It really stands out. So that's what they do. They take a picture. They freeze at the end of it. They take a picture so they make sure everything is where that it was when they start shooting it again. That's
Well, yeah, and you go back to what probably the film was actually being produced in '73 or something like that, and what was released in '75, if I recall right.
No digital cameras back then.
Yeah, so a Polaroid was a perfect solution to augment their handwritten notes. And then it goes on to say these Polaroid photographs, now decades old, seem peaceful and candid. Nobody thinks twice of a continuity photograph. And so the cast and the crew of Star Wars are caught in the mundane. The British Film Institute has a rich post about the intricacies and significance of Ann Skinner's work on the film. It's definitely worth a read. And so again, go to our show notes. You can get the link and go out and check this out. But I don't know. Of course, I'm a Star Wars fan, and I'm certainly a fan of the first movie and the second movie. Boy, am I hoping that one this December of this year is good, or they're going to have to hear from me.
Now, story 14. Let's continue on here because we're getting close to the end. Samsung has just added a 360-degree video storage to its virtual reality headset.
Yeah, exactly. So again, Samsung has a VR headset. Now they're adding a store for content. This comes from Engadget, story by Ben Gilbert. There's some great pictures there of their Oculus Rift-like device, right? And it says, since launch in early December, the virtual reality headset released by Samsung and Oculus VR has received a steady drip of new content. Each Tuesday, a handful of new apps launches for Gear VR, new games like Temple Run, new experiences like a Paul McCartney performance. That would be kind of interesting. Thus far, nothing's been spectacular enough to remark about. The overall selection of content, gaming or otherwise, is still on the light side. This week changes that with the release of Milk VR, and the story appeared, by the way, on December the 30th. The free app from Samsung contains a healthy dose of new 360-degree video content in both streaming and downloadable format. The actual selection of videos is available on a Samsung website of the same name. It's not exactly a flood of videos, but it's a heck of a lot more than the small sample packed in at the launch time. What's most interesting about the app is how it works. You slide your finger forward or backward on the Gear VR's touchpad, always keeping your finger attached to the headset. The video choices swirl around you on a cycle, and you can look up to select specific categories such as fresh, trending, Planet VR, etc. And the author here says, I'd love to point you to a demo, but there's still no way to capture footage inside a Gear VR headset. Not that we've figured out anyway, he says, about their own trying to do this testing themselves. He concludes by saying, that said, if you've got a Gear VR headset and the required Note 4 smartphone, downloading the free small Milk VR app is a no-brainer. You'll be jumping out of the plane in no time.
See, when you said Milk VR, I thought, who would want to reenact in first person the movie Milk? I mean,
yes, that was a tough movie too. Talk about a tough one. Jeez, yes. Well, Milk VR, I thought, is the Dairy Association. What? Weird name.
Milk a cow.
Yeah, weird name.
It's got to be an acronym, right? Although they would have all capped it for an acronym. Oh well.
Well, listen, I would like to take this time, give you a couple of minutes, Ralph, because you got so many more stories. And again, the ones that we don't do, you can certainly see them on our show notes page at computeramerica.com if you want to see all of them. What's going on with Autodesk? Anything you want to report?
Yeah. One thing that Autodesk is doing, I want to get the right name. I think it's Project Print 3D or Circuit 3D or something. Let me verbally explain it, and then go out and Google this because it's really kind of interesting. There's a whole world of 3D printing we've been talking about, right? Yeah. And Autodesk has been talking, and they were at CES, by the way, talking about a solution, a technology, a package that will enable you to 3D print circuit boards, guys. So one article I read about it, and I grabbed it and was going to try to formulate it to have a better set of notes for us tonight. But one of the things that one author said is can you imagine if Wozniak had this kind of technology way back in the day when they were doing the first Apple circuit boards? What a wild world this would be. So this could democratize even something like creating your own customized circuit boards. So, which has traditionally been the domain of heavy iron manufacturers, or in the old days, you would hand make them, right?
Yeah.
And here you have this ability to take advantage of a 3D printing technology. So go out to Autodesk and look up printed circuit board, 3D printed circuit boards, or Google that and associated with the word Autodesk, and you'll see the announcement. And it's a really wonderful, fun, new kind of twist on the whole 3D printing world.
Well, it certainly beats printing a castle.
I don't know.
Or a car, you know. I mean,
a man's printer is his castle. So
evidently, you know. And this again is available, and Autodesk is doing this now.
Yeah, it's a project, and here we go. Oh, here we go. Autodesk and Voxel, VOXEL 8. So Autodesk and another outfit called Voxel, VOXEL, and the number 8, to make 3D printed electronics. Let me get the rest of the story here. Whoops, coming up on my screen. This is real time delivery here. And of course, it's chunking away and thinking about it. Come on, you can do it. Come on, browser.
Yeah.
Okay, of course, like children and dogs, it decides to, oh, here we go. It's coming up. Autodesk and Voxel 8 to make 3D printed electronics a reality. There's a video you can see. And it says, we are now one step closer to 3D printing electronic devices in their entirety. Autodesk is developing Project Wire. That's what I was trying to remember. A spark-powered design tool. Spark is our formula for a 3D printer, guys. A spark-powered design tool for creating 3D printable electronic devices. We have partnered with Voxel, VOXEL 8 again, to enable the fabrication of truly free-form, three-dimensional circuits for the first time.
All right.
How about that, guys? Check it out. Autodesk Project Wire.
All right.
90 seconds.
Well, listen, Ralph, I want to thank you so much again for being with us here on the show and bringing all these great stories. And again, I guess we'll see you next month, same time, same bad channel, same time on the 10th of February.
You got it.
Okay, stay with us to the end. Coming up on Monday, we're going to have Bitdefender in the first hour. Bitdefender has just designed something called the Box. And this is a hardware solution for antivirus. It works. It's a box.
60 seconds.
It goes in front of your PC or your Mac. It works with your games, everything. It just provides security no matter what kind of computing device you have. And it's called the Box. It's going to be really cool. We'll talk about that in the first hour. And then Nuance is going to be in the second hour talking about voice recognition, Dragon. And they have a new version for the home. Basically, you speak, it transcribes what you're speaking. True voice control over your computer and dictation. So that's going to be happening in the second hour of the show. In the meantime, thank you all so much for being with us here on the program. Have a great weekend, and Ben and I will see you on Monday night. Again, congratulations to Dell Gibson for being our Show Reminder winner. So until Monday night, this is Craig Crossman hoping that your hard disk never becomes floppy.
Seconds.
We'll see ya.
Good night, everyone.
Thank you for using Blog Talk Radio. Goodbye.
All right, and everybody watching us on our Google Hangouts, our live video stream, thanks so much for being with us. Again, have a great weekend. Ralph, thanks again for being with us here.
Hey, always a joy.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun, and we look forward to seeing you next month, okay?
All right, buddy.
All right, everybody, say goodnight.
Good night, everyone.
Good night.